Let's break the mold, start believing, and stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Welcome to Wild on 7, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
All right, and welcome back. This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, presented by Pilot Games. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Some big news out of Matt Boldy, Wild on a run, maybe some midseason awards, but not like your normal awards. A couple of things on Kaprizov, and we've got the deputy, which we'll have to get into, Matt Dumba, as our guest. But before we do that, it was actually pretty hard for me to wake up this morning. I watched the Vikings game yesterday, and I went to bed, and it felt like there was 4 feet of snow outside when I woke up, and it was like, here we go again. Time to get the shovel on, throw the boots, get to work. Because what this podcast has been trying to build for a long time is to break that Minnesota Wild or that Minnesota sports fan mold where they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And, you know, yeah, the Vikings are good. Yeah, they're great. But they got lucky, but 1-score games, but it was all magic.
But it doesn't matter till the playoffs. But so here's a couple things. This is not a Viking podcast, but as a Wild podcast, we knew this was going to happen.
We did.
Because the Vikings are playing the 21-22 Wild season.
Yeah, where it was magic.
It was magic. And you know what? There's something about magic, Ryan. It's not real.
Ooh.
You know what is real?
Take.
Hard work, structure, grit, and grind. And that's the way the Wild are playing this year. So we don't have the exact replica. All of it, a replica. All of this come from behind. Beautiful excitement. The Cardiac Kids, first round of the playoffs. Boom. Insert Giants from St. Louis Blues. They lived our last year. We're 1 year ahead in the universe.
And the magic is fun. Like the chains and stealing it, coming over to the Yaks and making sure that they've got the chains for the playoff games. That stuff's all fun. And they actually had, the Vikings actually had the magic. If I'm breaking this down, Darius Slayton, their top receiver, catches a ball right in the middle of the field, hits him right between the numbers, drops it. Right?
No, I thought it was going to happen again.
And then all of a sudden, Kirk gets this roughing the passer, which wasn't a penalty in my opinion, or the analyst opinion or any of the announcers. Like, it just didn't look like a roughing the passer penalty. It's like the magic, here it is. It's going to manifest. Here we go. And then it didn't, which I think is part of what hurt. But the irony is what that football team missed yesterday is defense, right? They relied on the offensive magic late in the game, and it did wear out. And that was the Wild team last year, and they were hoping that magic would show up in the playoffs. It did not. The same thing happened, to your point. That Vikings team is a year behind the Minnesota Wild. They lacked structure defensively to compete defensively. Yes, it was fun to watch this season, but it was the same outcome. Now, this year, let's fast forward to a team that's a whole year ahead, the Minnesota Wild. What are they good at?
Defense. And structure. Grit and grind.
And it's not like what we had during the regular season last year, but the whole hope is that when it matters most, the but moment, but the playoffs, will they be better?
They are going to be better. And we did know a couple stories from this game. I knew they were over. I was listening to the radio of the Islanders Wild game Thursday. No offense if you did that game. You didn't, I don't think. But the crowd started going crazy on the radio, and I didn't know what had happened because it was intermission. Turns out there's a suite full of Giants offensive linemen. The guy goes tarps off, and they're slamming beers on the Jumbotron. This is Thursday night. The playoff game is Sunday. So I knew we were dead. This is no different than Ryan O'Reilly getting off at the Winter Classic. It's 30 below in holding a boom box
in Hawaiian.
In a Hawaiian shirt. You're done.
Yeah.
You see that on Twitter, you're like, well, I guess it's over. I knew it was over when I saw that because it's so close to game time. It should be a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing. That's a confident team, and I knew it was up. And then
they dropped the mic.
I want to hear how your day went yesterday. So we're trying to break the mold for Minnesota sports fans. Stop waiting. Stop being tentative. Start believing. But this is how it goes. Buddy says, "Hey, we got 2 seats at the bar. Come up to Saks by our house." Okay, we get up there. The wife's like, "I don't want to go. This is going to be the same thing." And she's like, said, "If it gets bad, can I take the car and leave?" I said, "Yeah." But I said, "With this year's team, even if it's bad, we might come back with the Vikings. Who knows, So then the game's over. We lose. And I get home, and she's now realized we've spent a 40-degree day, which was felt like spring, sitting and watching the Vikings lose. And so she's just mad.
Yeah, but
and I went down the basement. I had to put 2 Costco shelving units together, by myself. Total 2-man job. I'm leaning it, banging it.
She's mad.
Because
so it was you
we
that wanted
wasted
to watch
the whole day, and it was a beautiful day. What am I getting out of this? And then it was just down the stairs, shelving units. It was, and I didn't know what to say. It did suck.
Well, I knew you were in trouble. And
How did you know I was in trouble? Oh, I saw you that morning.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So big 10U championship game, Inver Grove Heights tournament. My daughter's team playing for the title. And we lose, we come out, and I see John and his wife there. And we're talking, John's got this unbelievable purple Vikings sheer jacket on.
Sweet coat.
Yeah, I couldn't look away. I felt bad because I almost didn't even notice Stacy, only because your jacket captured my attention.
It's like King Kong holding the little woman.
But then we start talking, and we talk about the hockey game, and we fell to Anoka, the number 1 team in the state. It was a tight game, 1-0, 2-0 with an empty netter.
To be continued, by the way. Good White Bear team.
So then I start talking, what are you going to do this afternoon? Where are you going to watch the game? And Stacy's like, well, I don't want to watch it anyways. They're just going to lose. I looked right at you, and I was like, you've got some work to do at home.
I know. I don't even have it sorted at home.
So I was like, he's in trouble.
So we went to this little brewery before the Inver Grove championship game, and the entire bar is lined with Vikings fans, probably taking a shuttle to US Bank. And she's just saying, I don't even know why people watch this. It's just going to be the same thing. It's just another loss, another wasted day. The sun's out, and I'm looking over at all these people just thinking this is going to create a riot. They're going to kick her out of this restaurant. Yes, I haven't even fixed it at home, let alone what we're trying to do here with Wild on 7th. So, but let's get into, do you smell that, Carts?
Smells like, well, you said yesterday
smells
like a spring day. Something
I know, but it smells more like money.
Yeah, like Irish spring.
Smells like, it's green for sure. It's green. Smells like money.
And did you hear that beeping?
Smells like a fat stack.
Did you hear that beeping on your way in?
Yeah, what was the sound of that backing up the Brinks truck?
I think it was.
Matt Boldy. Buy your Boldy jersey, Wild fans, because he's going to be here a while.
This just
$49 million man.
Changing his number from 12 to 49.
He should change his number. What do you think? What are your thoughts? You were breaking it down in the hallway, and I liked what you were saying. Tell me how this looks to you.
Okay, so it's just in terms of management and salary cap management and the way things go these days. It's different than it was in the past. Like you almost used to never give a guy on his second contract huge money and huge term like that. And that would be if it were reserved for the elite of the elite. And I'm not throwing shade on Boldy here, but we're talking like Connor McDavid. Like this dude's worth it from day one.
Yeah, even Sid, I remember, was getting paid $8.7 a year.
Yeah.
Because of the 87. But, I mean, that's pretty close.
And I don't know if that was the second deal, but I think that was his second deal. But that's Sidney Crosby, right? And
heard of him?
Yeah. Now Boldy's he's good, and he's going to be a big piece of the Wild. But the question is $7 million? Is he that player right now?
And you have a theory on this.
Well, and I would say I don't think he is right now. So that's the way it works. Is the team has leverage in that. If you were to go to arbitration and all of these other things, and he's restricted, so there's not a lot of like options for him to go try to apply leverage to the Wild. So they don't have to give him $7 million a year early on right now. But $7 million 7 years from now might be an absolute steal for the Wild. And that's the bet that the
he's
Wild
21
play.
years old.
Yeah, he's 21 years old. You get him locked in at $7 million. And the salary cap went up $1 million this year. Who knows what it will be the next year? But 7 years from now, it's entirely feasible that cap is $100 million, and Matt Boldy's going to look like an absolute steal, right, at that point in time. But it's interesting because that's what they're cooking in right now, is the value later on. And then what does that tell you about what they're doing right now? Because there is the cap crunch with the buyouts and the money. So Boldy's hitting the books at $7 million next year. You look at it, you say, man, could there have been a bridge deal at 3.5 to chase something different? Regardless of how that shakes out, I think you can see that it's a long-term plan. You've got Karel and his money, and then where he becomes a free agent, you'll have Boldy at a good amount. If the salary cap continues to rise, you've got a nice 1-2 punch, and you can say to Karel then at that point too, like, hey, we've got these guys locked up. There's money around for you. But it's just one of those things that I find interesting right now in terms of new management and contracts, because you don't have to give these guys big deals in their second contract. But I do give Guerin a lot of credit too, because I think he's got some foresight and say, hey, this is a dude I'm willing to gamble on. And when he's made these bets with contracts, he's usually hit them. Like he's got a good eye for that stuff. So Boldy at 7's expensive next year, but it'll be a deal in the future.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'd like to see him be that point a game guy even this season, so it would help my preseason predictions a little bit. But whether maybe he's a Brock Nelson type. I think he's going to be one of those stud forwards you can rely on for a long time, and I think that number will look pretty good as we come out of cap hell in a couple years here. Can we talk a little bit about Coach's haircut?
Yeah, but before we get into Coach's haircut, I just want to talk one more thing on Boldy too. Going forward, the left wing side too, it's going to be locked up. You've got Kaprizov, Boldy, so that's great. The power play is going to be fantastic. I also think the timing of this is kind of important too, because I think we've seen Boldy's, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that management says, hey, this guy needs a boost in his game. Let's go ahead and give him $49 million. Well, let's make him feel good, right? But it comes at a pretty critical time, I think, because his game, there's room for improvement and for consistency. And when you get a shot in the arm like this as a young kid, like, okay, good. Yeah, they've invested in me. We're set. Now I can just focus on hockey. I'm curious to see how he comes out of this and if his game is a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more consistent.
I just saw him on the ice. It's Martin Luther King Day here at Tria, and it's just packed. You would think it's Valley Fair watching the Wild practice, and he was kind of up behind a guy, grabbing him, kind of saying something in his ear. He looked pretty loose and pretty happy out there practicing. So, yeah, I think that's good. Maybe if we have a couple, we kind of have a couple rough pods.
Yeah.
We could get a little, all of a sudden some new Duke Cannon money comes
That's
in.
what we're saying, right?
And we're
start to
going,
struggle a little bit. How's your confidence right now, Kanger?
I just shaved. I think
what you'll get is like 49 body washes.
I know, I could.
It won't be like 49 schmill, which would be nice. But
I know, but I'd like to, to me, Boldy, if he could get a point a game this year, would just be so rock solid. He's trailing that by a little bit, but he is a streaky player. I would just love him to be the Fiala eraser. Just that first year, everybody, tight sphincter, worrying about Kevin going to LA, and then just I can do that. That would be a good start. That's a lot of pressure to put on him to replicate that point production, but I think it's possible if he gets rolling a little bit.
Well, he's got to get rolling, and that line has to get rolling 5-on-5. If you look at the way that the Wild are built right now, Kaprizov's going to get his point every night, and whether that's on the power play 5-on-5, but they're good 5-on-5 too. You've got the Grief line. They do what they do. Everybody's well aware of it. Fourth line provides energy. So where's that secondary scoring coming from? And I think they've survived pretty well without that second line punch right now. But Ryan Hartman and his 30 goals, Matt Boldy and Freddie Gaudreau, they're going to have to get going. It's kind of the tough time of the season. Game 40 to 60 for me was always mentally the hardest. But it's also moving day. It's Saturday in the golf tournament, right? You've got to get going, and you can really separate in this spot. So you can take advantage of everybody else feeling that it's dog days, but you have to be good and you have to execute.
You look at that window, right? So we have 52 points. The wild card teams have 51. And then there's this drop off to 45 with Colorado and St. Louis. If you can get a 10-point gap there, man, it's hard. It's hard to drop out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if we could just all gas, no brakes for these next 20 games. And it's a tough road. I mean, even look at, Caps, Carolina, a Florida team that's underperforming. I mean, it's then all on the road. So good start with the Islanders and Arizona at home, but it'd be nice to see. I do got to come back to Dean's hair.
Yeah, let's get Dean's hair into this because he's high and tight.
So Dean made a choice. Okay, this gives us a shot to have Dean on the podcast. He went in and he must have either switched barbers or it is awesome looking. It's almost like Peaky Blinders, geometric. Like he looks like he could roll with Lundqvist. Like it's not a tux, it's a suit, but it has a black tie. I mean, it's so tight. It looks awesome. Why did he do that? I mean, he had the same haircut for 20 years and all of a sudden he's just like, he found an Esquire magazine in the airport, or like what happened? It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he's a sensible, fashionable guy.
He is. His shirts are good.
Yes, everything's pressed. Everything looks good. Everything matches. I've never seen him with even a 5 o'clock shadow. Like he must have like a care routine that Duke Cannon would love to advertise. But he's a dapper dude.
He is debonair.
That's Canada.
Dapper Dean?
Yeah, Dapper Dean.
Wow. No more Mean Dean. Really. We did that. We made a commercial about it. I think he's done punching people.
Now it's Dapper
Dean. And do you think in his closet he has like an island with socks and watches, like the National League type situation?
I bet you there's no doubt in my mind that his closet is organized. So like
color-coded.
Color-coded.
Yeah.
And then sleeve length, like right on down, everything is just perfectly placed. But if he really, like this is, and I actually want your opinion on this, if he really wants to be dialed and get the respect of the young guys now, he's going to have to just get rid of socks. That's when you become Dapper Dean, you have to just go no socks.
And you got to have calf length pants.
Yes.
So Dean's personality, you know him better than me. If he was coming in here for post-game press into the studio at Tria and I was like, hey man, awesome haircut. I love it. I love the tightness. Is that like, is that going to be awkward for me or would he even acknowledge it?
No, he wouldn't. I don't think he would acknowledge it.
Okay. So he would act like I didn't say that. Like he looks over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying it to someone else.
The other thing I would say about Dean is like he lives with purpose almost in every single moment. Right. So like I'll have like moments where I'll like stop and have a chat with you and hang out. Dean has like purpose. So like he'll be passing in here to speak to the media. And then as soon as that's over, it's on to the next thing. So like he might throw a jab at you as he continues to walk, but he's not going to stop walking to chat with you.
I like that your example of not having purpose was having a chat with me. That was good. But I mean, it's okay. It's okay. But I understand what you're saying. Hey, we were right on something last week.
Let's hear it.
Zuki was ready to go to New York. Zuki.
Speaking of Dean, did he mention that? It's like he knew.
I mean, let's just say Zuki was packed and ready. And from the looks of the Madison Square Garden, you got Henrik Lundqvist, Ryan Reynolds, and the often forgotten Alexander Skarsgård. So I think there's a scenario we need to ask Dumba, our guest today, Matt Dumba, about this. I think there's a party after that game, even though we lost in the shootout, and I see Zuki talking to Lundqvist, Karel's talking to Reynolds, and then Sam Steele's just sitting on a couch with Alexander Skarsgård.
Just sitting.
And they're both going, who are you? I was in a Nicole Kidman show. He's like, I was a first rounder. But I think that happened probably. They went to the same spot after, yeah?
I don't know.
I hope so. We got to get to the bottom of this. And I want Zuki on the pod. And I thought a way to get him on, but I don't know how to do this, is I want to wear a Norwegian sweater every day on the pod until he comes on as a guest. Like one of those classic Norwegian sweaters. Have you seen them? Like they look like,
with like the brown leather buttons, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. And and get him in the All-Star game because he deserves to be there. I don't think he's in yet unless I missed something. And then it's like a hunger strike. Like it starts getting warm and I'm wearing that Norwegian sweater I'm dropping LBs. He's worried about me. I think we need to have something to get Zuki on here, whether he's with Karel or not. I don't care, but I'd like to get Zuki on the pod. He's having a year, and I want to talk to him about Manhattan a little bit.
You want to get into this? Do you love Lundqvist a little bit? Like part of you.
So I lived in New York for 5 years,
Yeah.
and it's such a cool place. I had the luxury. You've done this many times, I'm sure. I had the luxury of a worker at our office. Her brother played in the NHL, and so after the game, I got to walk down the ramp. Of Madison Square Garden, and you just go into the city like you're Batman.
Isn't that crazy? You just like disappear
disappear.
It's so
even
great.
if you're Lundqvist, or it'd be like Derek Jeter, right? You just come out onto the street. There's somebody doing nuts for nuts, and then you're just maybe in a car, and you just drive away.
That is my favorite.
It is so cool.
That's my favorite part. Madison Square Garden's on like the 5th floor. Actually, the walk up the hill is a burner. Like that burns your legs. You get to the top and you don't need warm-ups anymore.
They must have known I couldn't do that.
So they gave you the elevator up and had you walk down?
Yeah, I only did I did the walk down. He goes, hey, no, the guy goes, we got to wrap up because we were talking to him in the family section. He goes, just come with me. And we walked down. Vinny Lettieri was on the Rangers at the time. I saw him walking down, calf-length pants, no socks. But it was so cool.
So I've had some big moments at MSG and like while you're on the ice, like the energy in the building is unbelievable. The crowd is great. And while you're out there, you're a big deal. But then New York is pretty humbling too, because like you walk down that ramp and then you just literally push through like, I don't know, like these little gates. And then you're lost in the middle of Broadway and you're back to being like minuscule.
Nobody cares.
Minuscule.
But
it's
that's
amazing.
That's what people love. That's why Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, that's why New York is on there, one of the places they own a home, because it was the closest I felt to a comic book hero walking out on the street. And I hadn't done anything. I was just at the game, but just watching these guys kind of just disappear into the New York night.
Dude, why don't you mix in another swallow there? Is everything okay? You know what you might need?
No, look, what should I need?
We'll get you some reverse osmosis water, so we don't have to like gross out all the fans right now with another swallow after every third word. But yeah, so Aquarius Home Services. Let me hook you up with these guys. They can do water conditioning. You know that I've got the reverse osmosis system at the kitchen sink, the K5. I've got the water softener. It's been well documented. My hair is very softest my barber's ever had. That's the water softener. He said, "What shampoo do you use?" I said, "It doesn't matter. It's the water softener." I've got my system fixed. I'm no longer messing around with the April air and making sure that I'm trying to get everything with the right humidity in the house right now. I've left my critical home systems to the pros. So whether you need help with electrical, HVAC, plumbing, you name it, Aquarius Home Services, they'll take care of you. Check them out, AquariusHomeservices.com.
Do you think bullying should be a part of the live read? Is that something that Aquarius
Do you think that's bullying? I thought I would be helping.
I don't know if I was swallowing that much. Listeners, you let us know. But one of the things I do this time of year is I like a chunky blue cheese dressing.
Holy smokes.
Because it's that time of year. You might have it with a buffalo dip at a football party. And now that the Vikings are out, we can truly enjoy the playoffs. There's no stress, just kind of go out there and watch it. It's one of their more popular. People in Minnesota like to mix the chunky blue cheese Jimmy's dressing with French, and they mix it together. Very Midwestern. I don't know if I would like that or not, but it is chunky blue cheese season. Go to your local Cub, look for Jimmy's salad dressings and dips. Don't you be messing with my dressing. That was tight, shorter.
Yeah.
You're welcome, people.
You did
we
great.
didn't have a 5-minute, sleep apnea start to the podcast, speaking of bullying. But what else should we discuss? What would you like to discuss?
Well, I do want to talk let's play hockey a little bit. Mm-hmm. I want to create a movement where this podcast hijacks let's play hockey. And we have tryouts. People have to like earn it. Like have a little casting room where people have to all of a sudden.
It's like The Voice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like we need to step up the let's play hockey on a consistent basis. The Vikings came over before the playoff game and it's fun, but we might need like
they did it on Saturday, Arizona.
Yeah.
How many of the guys were there?
A couple, I think. Yeah.
Were they animated?
Yeah, I think it was good, but they didn't shotgun a beer.
I know. Why isn't that a part of Minnesota's culture? Like drinking a beer through your shirt, or like it's in a fish, or like the lineman at the Islanders game. Like you have to go over speed to win in the critical moments. You need bullets in the meat. It needs to be, you got to get out of your comfort zone. And I think we're so Minnesota nice. Yeah, we should audition Let's Play Hockey.
Yeah.
30-second clips.
Send them into us.
Just show us what you got.
Yeah, give us your Let's Play Hockey.
Yeah, so I think, why don't you have them? We'll send them to any of the Wild on 7th socials.
Yeah.
Just tag us, and we're going to look for somebody that can just go crazy.
And we don't have the power to do this. Like get people in there.
It's a false promise.
If we get a good one,
there's a shot.
Yeah, there's a shot.
You did it, not us.
And then we need that help, because then they might lean us forward a little bit more. But I want this.
I was thinking about your locker room lineup read as well, and I think I would bring a helium balloon in. They don't see it, and I just suck it in, and I do the entire read in like a super high voice. I think that's
what will you be sucking in?
A helium.
Oh,
yeah. I think that would work. I can't stop thinking about it.
So you're trying to come up with a really good locker room lineup card read.
Well, because no one would want me there. Who is this guy? It's not cool to have me do it, right? It feels like I'm getting more out of it than the Wild.
So you'd have to lighten the room up.
I'd have to do something.
Lighten it up.
I'd have to have people go like, I think it's kind of BS that he did the lineup read, but also helium and the worm, kind of awesome, and he lit his chest hair on fire and he was out like that. I think they would be like, yeah, break even, no problem, no damage. But unless I sell out, there's no way. No one wants that. I'd have to really give.
Well, we got Matt Dumba waiting for us here, but I want to just touch on a couple of things real quick before we get to him. And one of them is the depth of the Wild, how good that they've played, and then the durability of Karel Kaprizov. It just kind of dawned on me the other day as this guy's taking hit after hit, battle after battle, that he just like, he seems like a guy that's never on the training table. I bet he's never set foot in the training room at all. Right? Like he plays hard, he's physical, but you can just count on him. He can play 82. Like you almost have to pull him out. The only game I think that he's missed is they purposefully rested him in his rookie year. I think he played 55 of the 56. But the guy's an absolute machine. Have you ever seen the pad that bumps out like when he really gets going? Like let's say they're down a goal in the third. Like when he really starts battling, the shirt gets tucked up underneath his pad, and it looks like there's a shoulder pad cup on his like right hip.
I know what you're talking about.
And I want to figure out what that pad is. I might want to name that pad too.
What do we call that? It's like Turbo Boost pad, like the old kit car.
Yeah, like
Knight
Terminator
Rider
or something. Like something comes out.
Yeah, when you see that pad, that means
look away.
I will say the only time I ever saw Karel tired was that the back-to-back, the Buffalo, and the next game when Zuki was hurt. Like that dog in Garfield, Odie, I mean, his tongue was literally hanging out of his mouth. I'm like, I thought Dean was going to kill him. Like just keeps, remember when you have a stud player in youth hockey and they want to take a change and the coach is like,
say,
you're good. It's like raising his hand. I'm not good. Karel, you're good. Just run it back. Yeah, but I don't even like talking about his durability. I won't do that, but I do know what you're saying. He's an animal.
Oh, he's an absolute animal. Now depth. I think when we've talked about the Wild and some of these other guys and how great that they've been, like we thought the Wild were going to need guys like Marco Rossi, Tyson Jost, and that they were going to have to step up and fill these massive voids left behind, right? And it really hasn't been those guys. It's been other ones that have stepped up and been great. Sam Steele, I think he's playing terrific. You could go to Shaw, Dewar shorthanded, like the penalty kill. Even guys jumping in like Goligoski, scoring the OT goal, giving the club one of their moments, as we like to talk about. Gustafsson, the second goaltender, backup goaltender, like he's been absolutely terrific. The Wild depth, I don't think that they've gotten enough credit. And I think some of that is because they haven't had like the secondary scoring. So nobody's running away with this. And you're saying, oh my gosh, they're so deep. But they have organizational depth. Like they've been able to plug and play pieces. And I do think that some of this is the coaching staff. I do give this staff a lot of credit often about how they manage these players and put them in good spots. But Mason Shaw has provided a spark, right? Brandon Duhaime has been better and provided a spark. You go on and on. Even Ryan Reeves coming in and he's done his thing.
5 points.
Yeah.
Is Iowa cooling off though a little bit? I felt like the Iowa guys carried us through a stretch of the season, but now I'm not seeing them on the scoreboard as much.
I think some of that is because they're getting fully healthy. The other, I would say, another phenomenon there, and that line, they haven't been as good or as.
So they're playing less.
I think they're playing a little bit less. I also think that teams really start to dial in their systems and their defense right now, so it gets harder. Those guys, their leash gets shorter, and their playing time gets shorter. So they don't have fourth line. You don't have the freedom to cross the blue line and go east and west, make a play to the middle. Like if you have the puck behind the goal line, your job is actually to hold it behind the goal line. You might be able to pass it up to the D-man and try to crash the net and get a garbage goal. But really it becomes about possession. And then the opposition has now, after 40 games, dialed in their defense. So without you having the ability or the freedom to make those plays, and let's call a spade, I can do that because I played in that role, without the skill and the vision to really execute a lot of these, the scoring for those lines goes down, and it really just does over time. That's why coaches get so ecstatic when the fourth line chips in a goal this time of year. They're just like, dude, it's so
I know.
They're just so pumped.
Yeah, it's like finding $20 in your jacket.
Yeah, a jacket that you haven't worn for a year. You almost forgot you had the jacket. You're out, and then you check the pocket, and boom, 20's hanging there. So
are we ready to bring in Mr. Dumba?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's bring him in.
Right. Here's Matt Dumba, presented by Duke Cannon.
Well, this man needs no introduction, but we'll introduce him a little bit differently than normal. It's Matt Dumba, but I call him Deputy. We should get into that. So the nickname Deputy, you grew up law enforcement. That's a thing, though. And Nate Prosser, I think, was who came up with it. In Canada, a police officer is called a constable. I actually still don't even know what a constable is, but that's what they call me in Canada. But then Matt Dumba, I've, for whatever reason, since then called him Deputy. So it's Deputy Matt Dumba because he patrols the blue line and then comes from law enforcement. But how you doing, my man?
Doing good. Yeah, that's funny. I think the constable and the deputy.
The constable deputy.
Yeah, those were good times. Those were some fun years.
Yeah, Dum's patrolling the blue line. Watch out.
Don't they ride horses up there on the police? Isn't there, what are they called?
Mountie?
Yeah, the Mountie. Yeah, Rocky.
So where's the constable and the deputy as it relates to the Mountie?
That's what we tried to figure out. Probably below.
That's a lot.
If you get a horse, you're big time.
You think?
I would think so.
Horse's status up there?
Yeah, for sure. For sure it is. Let's hit him with the rapid fire. Get him going.
Okay, this is speed round. You ready?
All right.
Nickname?
Deputy.
Weirdest thing in your overnight bag?
Weirdest thing. This isn't that fast.
Just say pass.
Red light therapy, little pad.
That's weird.
I like that. That is weird. What do you listen to in the car?
Like old school rap, usually.
It's your birthday. Where are you going to dinner?
Butcher's Tail.
Green light in any NHL city.
Wow, that's hard. Montreal.
Hockey jersey you had as a kid.
Paul Karius.
Pre-game meal.
Penne alla vodka with chicken from Lagrola.
Go-to drink at the bar.
Moscow Mule.
Perfect weekend. What are you doing?
In the summer, probably going out to the mountains, camping with some friends, bringing the dogs, bunch of beers.
You hit him with a couple.
Yeah, so favorite concert or first concert? Remember the first concert?
Nelly Furtado. How could I forget?
We've had some amazing first concerts. Spurgeon's was Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Nelly Furtado.
Canadian icon.
There you go. Love it. Have you had a real job, like your first real job?
First real job? No, I was one of the lucky ones, really.
So the only paycheck you've ever collected was from the Minnesota Wild.
My $48.17 every 2 weeks in junior. that made me non-eligible for
college hockey.
NCAA,
Yeah, there you go. All right, I like that. Jealous. You have your own Netflix accounts, and if you do, you share them with anybody?
Yeah, I think I'm getting to the max shares though. Yeah, I think most of the fam's on my account.
You got the fam on your account?
Yeah.
The gift that keeps on giving, Matt Dumba. Who you text the most?
Girlfriend.
Anybody? Who you text on the team the most?
Probably Hartsey.
Yeah. Last book you read?
Last book I read. Why am I
Favorite?
blanking on the title?
I never remember titles of books ever or movies.
It's the greatest beer run ever. They just made a movie.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was good.
Yeah. That'd be a good one.
Crazy story.
I always blank on names of books and movies. I'll know like the scenes and the people and stuff in it, but never recall the names of the books. Ever. Painful. Moscow Mule, that one surprised me a little bit.
What are you going with?
I'm more of a bourbon guy, but I rotate because I will eventually have too much of something, then I got to move away from it. So this year it will be bourbon. Next year it will be like, I don't know, Stilly. The next one will be something.
Those Stillies are dangerous.
They're good.
They are good.
Yeah, Tommy Vanek, our boy.
Yeah, I know, the animal.
Yeah. So let's get to the dogs real quick. You got a house full, my man. What is it, 4?
Yeah, 4, yeah. Crazy.
How many are their names?
Winona is my first. Moose was my girlfriend's first. Then we brought those two together. We got Cash together actually 2 summers ago. And at the end of last year, we got Marley. So she's a handful still.
Marley is?
Yeah, she's living up to the name.
So, okay, because that's from that book, right?
Yeah, from Marley and Me or whatever, the movie.
Yeah, that's great.
So your girlfriend's dog was named Moose. Is that something Foligno brings up from time
Which
to
is
time?
hilarious because he's just a little dash hound. He's a little wiener dog, and like always at the team parties, like Moose grabs Moose, and the mooses are always chilling together. We got a bunch of pictures of them.
That's awesome. What's the Calgary Stampede like?
It's a good time. I'd say top 3 city in the national.
So how long does it last?
In between July 2nd to July 12th.
So it's 10 days. Like, do people
10
camp?
days of madness. Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like, you know where the Saddle Dome is?
Yeah.
Just like, you know where the old corral was.
Mm-hmm.
We probably practiced.
Across the way.
Yeah. So they tore that down now. And that's kind of from Cowboys all the way into there's like the Stampede grounds. But yeah, don't really leave that Cowboys parking lot too often when I touch the Stampede.
Can you give us a quick concierge? So if I was trying to bring a group of guys up there, kind of a guys trip, do the Calgary Stampede, which weekend am I hitting and where am I staying? Just give us a little shorthand, like how would you play it?
I'll probably hit the first weekend. It gets grimy in there the second weekend, but
I'm writing this down.
If you want to get a little gritty the second weekend, there's a lot of sweat and puke.
The outhouses are full.
Yeah, shit.
Where are we staying? What's the move? You probably have.
I think you stay downtown. Yeah, you stay like either close to like Stephen Ave or 17th.
Got it.
And then you're right in the mix from there. You really can't go wrong.
You bring a pop-up camper on the hitch behind the car, and then you just crank the top up. You go to sleep. You wake up. You do it again.
Yeah, you can park. Can't you park in like Walmart parking lots and stuff? Yeah, there you go. You want to get real gritty?
Hey, when you were in New York, did you guys hang out with Ryan Reynolds and Lundqvist and Skarsgård?
No, but I did see those guys kicking it behind the bench.
I pictured you guys all together afterwards. That was my plan.
No, maybe Zuki.
He might have snuck out.
Yeah. We went for a little dinner afterwards with the fellas.
I'm still going to believe it happened.
Green light, New York City. You got to go. Let's touch on cars a little bit. So you've had the classic cars. You got what now? Is it the Jeep or something or Bronco?
I have my Bronco. That was the first car I ever got. 68 Bronco.
That's a sweet car, blue.
Yeah, and it just so happened my billet dad was when I was in Red Deer. He owned a custom auto body shop, so we got to kind of piece it together over the time that I was there. And I didn't. When I first got it, this thing was like it was $4,500 Canadian. I was like, what, $3,800 American. It was just a rust bucket, and I needed all new panels, doors. Ended up, after having it for like 3 years, one of his mechanics was like walking down an alleyway, walking his dog one night, saw a tarp kind of just like blown in the breeze, the classic Ford logo on the back. Went right up to the door and was like, it said a Bronco in the back, and so happened it was their grandfather's, just one owner, and we ended up buying that one off them for $4,500 as well, and then just pieced those two together, and just so every year I just put a little into it.
A little more into it? Well, it's an awesome car, man. It is
I
awesome.
love it. Yeah, it's the ultimate summer car for sure.
Yeah. And then what was the mustard car? What was that one?
That was a 68, the Mustang.
Mustang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun too. But it was just, you know how the roads are here. It was just like
no good for it.
No good. It was so hard on the car, so I ended up selling that one.
So I got to ask you about a story, because you were living in downtown Minneapolis, and I think you went back. I don't actually know whose car it was, but it stayed in the parking garage over the summer. And did you come back and it was full of mold? Tell me about that. Is that your car?
Yeah. Okay. You remember when our squad was all about the Hammerschlagen?
Yeah.
And we were just playing that every team party. Like all the boys had a
That's right. Yeah.
That guy just started dishing Hammerschlagen. So everyone had one. Yeah. So like, end of the year, I was a young guy, like, get me out of here. Like, I got to go home. I'm just like, all right, leave the Hammerschlagen in the back of the whip. It's good. It came back. All the moisture had released from it. And it was probably like, spent the summer just marinating in this parking garage. And it gets like 110 down there at the Ivy. Like, just gross. And I opened the car, and it was as white as this paper everywhere. So the fungus.
So you had mold.
The mold that had grown in on this thing. I had a guy, like, I called the detailing company. Like, the kid's like coming down, and we're talking about prices, and I'm like, no, dude, I just doubled it. And I was like, thanks. Like, good luck.
Yeah, like, I need the Petri dish
like
package.
8 hours on it. There's still a little bit of it lingering. I was just like, okay.
So
we need to get rid of this thing.
If those listening don't know what Hammerschlagen is, it's just like a big round log, probably like 6 inches tall. And you just hammer nails into it.
So much fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And it just sat in the back of your car, and then the moisture just mold everywhere. What kind of car was it?
BMW X6.
Could you get the smell and everything out of it? Like, was it good after?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, this kid did an unbelievable job. This guy put in 8 to 10 hours of just pure work, just sweating his bag off in the bottom of the Ivy, like grinding. But there's no way. It was like every single inch of this car. You couldn't even go in it.
I'm picturing you like a valet. Some kid just doesn't have the guts to say it, pulls up in this car, and you hop in. It's full of mold and everything else. You're like, oh my gosh. Hey,
it's so funny. Like, like, you become friends with those guys at valet. Like, you see them every day, and then there's just like that look that they give you, like something's wrong.
Yeah,
it only happens a couple times a year. Like they got to break this news to you, and they don't know how to go about it. They're just like, okay, it's probably better if I just show you.
Yeah.
And then,
Funny.
So I don't know if you're aware, Ryan Carter is prominently featured on your Wikipedia. So this is good. Outdoor game against the Blackhawks at TCF Bank Stadium Series. Dumba got the scoring going early as he trailed to play after Ryan Carter had a breakaway. Carter had his shot saved. And his rebound saved as well.
They had to put that in there. I tried twice.
But Dumba But Dumba poked in the third chance for his 9th goal of the season to give the Wild.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, there's some guys you just let them go. It's their breakaway. But yeah, Constable, I was following tight. There's going to be a chance. I'm sniffing.
Maybe 2.
Find a pad.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
I remember that. We were just coming in, Constable had to shovel out.
So the press box at the X too, there's photos of players and everything around and kind of moments. I'm never going to be in any of those, but my only chance was that because Dums scores that goal, then I was able to be in the celebration. So I mean, only chance I'm on the wall in the press box. It's hilarious.
That was so much
So
fun.
thanks for bearing that, man.
Yeah, no, that was a great time. I ended up kicking those guys too.
Yeah, we were good against them during the regular season, not so much in the playoffs, which is kind of a bummer.
I was gonna ask you I remember when you were coming up, I was watching all your highlights in Red Deer, and you were like this Scott Stevens part 2, just lighting guys up. You lit up Kane in the Stadium Series, Game 6 Vegas. We'd like to talk about the 7th Street Savages. How do you think physicality plays into your game in terms of playing on the edge or going over the edge?
It's definitely a line you got to be careful with. You don't want to be just running around on the ice reckless, and then you're just out of place, out of position. But I think it definitely can swing things. I think that's what our team does a great job every night of just trying to be physical, use that, and kind of try to take away the other team's will. No one likes getting hit. That's just facts.
Yeah,
no one wants to go. D-men don't like going back for pucks and getting hit.
Right.
So just bringing that every night, and then trying to hold guys accountable through the middle of the ice is fun. It's nice with Jimmy because he's usually doing a good job at steering guys and making it easy for me.
Hey, Jimmy, set me up. Get this guy over the middle of the ice.
Nice.
Let me get him.
Yeah, sometimes we talk like that on the bench. And yeah, you're looking for it, but yeah, you got to be careful. Guys are so good. You get caught out of position or you're late on one, and then you're burnt.
Let's talk about Jimmy quick. You got Brodin, Jonas Brodin, tight. Warm-up routine changed a little bit for you guys. Did you get away from it? Because if you watch, run us through your warm-up routine and what you guys do, and then why you got away from it. And then
it's crazy. Baby. I mean, yeah, we don't. It's tough doing warm-ups without Jimmy, and he would say the same. Without me, it's just I'm kind of lost. There's so much of my warm-ups incorporated with him, and just little passes everywhere. We run through a series where we just meet at the bench. We chop it up with Benzie for a bit, have some water. Jimmy's flipping pucks and catching them, and then we just go around, spin a couple laps, and then we get into a part of warm-up that the people like watching. We end up, I don't even know how we started doing this, but because we always would sauce pucks back and forth.
Yeah.
I always stand on the coach's side or on the bench side, Jimmy across the way, and then Hartsey started coming in between us. Now we're saucing pucks over his head. Moose comes in there. We're saucing pucks over his head, and then we just do a little something on the blue line, pass it back and forth, and have a 2-on-0 against Flower. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, that's like 7-foot sauce. That's the real deal sauce too. That's over Hartsey's head.
Yeah, that's a real deal.
That's Evel Knievel warm up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then now, Jimmy, what do you guys talk about on the bench? You know what I mean? It can't be all just hey, bring this guy to the middle, let me dust him. Does he talk much?
Yeah, Jimmy. We talk about plays. Talk about I don't know.
Whatever.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Try to keep it pretty light.
That's a difference. That's the thing. Is it light? I think a lot of people think on the bench that it's just this play, that play, stick here, stick there. No, it's mostly
no. You drive yourself insane if you're like that. Just how long the season is, and just certain games. It's nice that every game plays out differently.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the little you see, but there's some jokes on the back end. I feel like our group on the back end, we're always so pumped for each other and just cheering along.
Seems like a great group.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
All right, a couple more before we let you go. We got a bird to jump on here real soon.
Yeah, we do.
So it's the guest trip coming up here right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Wild go Washington, Carolina, then a guest meets them in Florida for Tampa and the Florida game. Who you bringing?
Bringing my little brother.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Has he been on one of these before?
Yeah, one of my first years. He was, I don't think he was even drinking age. He might have been 17, 18 at the time. But we really haven't gotten too much time to spend with each other during the year because he's always been playing too. But he just recently hung him up. And yeah, so he's got a little bit more free time.
So he's got a green light in Florida. And I heard there's some other brothers going to be on the trip too. There might be a good crew going.
Yeah, there's Revo's brother. I know Jimmy's brother's coming in from Sweden.
Does Jimmy's brother play hockey now? Is that like his job too? Is he a pro over there? Or?
No, I'm not sure what he does.
Okay. Revo's brother's a football player.
Football player, yep.
Yeah.
Are they shipping in Karel's brother?
No, I don't know who. I don't know who's Krill's bringing, but yeah, it's always hard for his family. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, you find that these trips are valuable to bring somebody along?
Yeah, I think it's just you can tell you can tell all your buddies your stories from NHL, but it's not really the same unless you live it, right?
Right.
Yeah, not a bad place to do it.
It's also nice to break it up. 4-game road trip. You got buddies coming. It just changes the energy around it a little bit. It's kind of fun,
Yeah, this time of year too.
Yeah.
It's like kind of dog days.
Right.
Just got over halfway. And
right.
Cold as hell out here.
Go to Florida
nice to get to Florida.
I was just going to ask we're wrapping up here, but last year was all this kind of cardiac kids comebacks, and this year it just seems more rugged and structured, and you're grinding. And do you think this season is sort of more of a setup for the playoffs than last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think kind of even how you saw the Vikes yesterday.
Exactly.
That's the kind of that. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that kind of felt like our season last year.
Yeah.
Just such good energy around the squad when you're doing that, and it's fun, but it's not really conducive to making that long playoff run. And I felt like this past month, we've gotten to that, with our physicality, with just our structure and knowing now how we need to play every night and try to just be locked in for that 60 minutes. I think you're seeing the more mature Minnesota Wild come out, and I think that's going to be huge for us down the run.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, dude, let's go catch that bird. And you know what? I heard Andrew Haight, we got to give him some credit. I think he planned a pretty good trip down there in southern Florida. I think the guests will be rolling cigars and stuff. So feel free to sneak one of those in your pocket, bring him back. We'll have it on the podcast here. But take care, man. Thanks for coming.
Can't wait.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, that was a great interview from our man, Deputy Matt Dumba. I also love the fact that he's a family man. All those dogs at home, things got to get wild over at the Dumba house. But yeah, so fantastic interview. But let's get into some awards. Now, Matt Dumba has won some awards in his day too, but these are a little bit different. These will be the mid-season Wild Awards. What's your first one?
Mid-season Wild on 7th Awards, branding. I'm going to start with the North Star Pall Bearer Award.
Ooh, can you explain what that award is?
So for a lot of us of a certain age, we always had this North Star shaped hole in our hearts. And as much as we liked the Wild, it was hard for them to fill that space and make us love them as much as we loved the old North Stars. Karel Kaprizov has changed all that. We got an NHL store guy, a top 10 player in the league. We're all ass over kettle into the Wild now. We're letting go of the past. This is like the people in college hockey that are pining away for the WCHA to come back. There was a group of those people around the Wild that couldn't get past, the North Stars. Between the retro jersey and Karel being the stud that he is, we are walking that casket out of the church.
So he has filled that void.
He has filled the void.
He has made them whole.
We are fully Minnesota Wild. Even if you're my age, you can let all that stuff go. Put your Dino Ciccarelli poster away. Get a Karel Kaprizov one.
I like it. For me, it's going to be the Third Wheel Award. So you go out to dinner, you're with your spouse, significant other, maybe your best buddy, and then there's just somebody there And it's awkward at first, maybe for a moment, but then all of a sudden it gets really normal. And it ends up being okay, and it works out, and you have a great time.
Does that person have a mustache that's with you?
That person would have a mustache. He'd look a little bit like Sherlock Holmes, and that person would be Sam Steele. It's the third wheel award. So he's there. He's part of the top line. He's the third wheel, but he fits in, and it works. And I think he's always got the invite. So third wheel award, that goes to Sam Steele.
I'd like to give a Dad of the Year award. It's an unknown thing by a lot of people that Matt Zuccarello had a daughter this offseason. And I don't know if he's got dad strength now or what's happening, but he is off to a torrid start. He is on fire. He's going to put up more points than he did last year. We're going to find a way to get him into the All-Star game. He's found the fountain of youth as the Dad of the Year, Matt Zuccarello.
We, on this podcast, quite a bit talk about moments, and I think you might have one, and maybe it'll be different, but let's talk about the moment of the first half of the year award so far. And as much as I'd like to give it, because I do think that this was a polarizing moment, Jared Spurgeon, the back check, Troy Terry, Anaheim, that one kind of set, I think, the tone defensively for the club, but that's not the moment of the year for Stanley on 7th.
What is it?
Wild on 7th. It is Jake Middleton, no shirt interview, followed by no shirt interview, followed by no shirt interview. It is fun. These guys, they ended up getting light following that. The locker room got lighter. The air around everything got lighter. So my moment of the year is that interview sequence where all of the guys had their shirts off.
Tarps off a Palooza. Now I feel so lame because you did the one I should have done. So I'm going to do the one you should have done as a professional analyst. I think when we played Carolina and we changed our style and we got off the pixie dust and the magic, and we decided that this season was about grind and grit and structure and hard work, and we changed our play. That's my moment of the year because this is a team built for the playoffs.
Give me what you would think that the Bunkhouse Award is.
So the Bunkhouse Award is, if you ever watch Yellowstone, there's the bunkhouse, and that's where the big personalities live. They play cards all the time. There's some, what are those, barrel racer girls are in there from time to time. It's just a really fun place. Playing cards. It's almost like a plane home after a victory. And I think this year's team has a ton of personality in the bunkhouse. You got Jake Middleton in there. I think you put Duhaime in there. I think Ryan Reeves is in there. I think Hartsy's in there. I think I would love to stay up late and play cards while Mason Shaw's playing guitar in the bunkhouse. It's going to help us in the playoffs. Tons of personality.
So the Bunkhouse Award just goes to everybody?
No. We have more bunkhouse guys than ever before. They call them glue guys. And, it's not everybody. Like Flower's a big personality, but he lives on the ranch. He's Flower.
He's in Dutton's house.
He's in Dutton's house.
He's in the big house?
He's in one of Dutton's properties. Zuccarello's a big personality, but he's up in Dutton's property.
All right, so let's do it this way then. The Bunkhouse graduate. Who are you going to graduate from the Bunkhouse? Because you talked about all these guys, Shaw with the guitar, playing cards with Middleton. Who are you pulling out of the Bunkhouse? Because this happened. Rip got pulled out of the Bunkhouse.
Who gets to go out of the bunkhouse? Well, I will say if Freddie Gaudreau gets 20 goals again, doing all of the little things, he potentially stays in one of those other houses up there.
I'm not saying that the bunkhouse is more volatile and that there's a lot more changeover in the bunkhouse.
Well, Hartsey graduated from the bunkhouse.
Yeah,
but he would prefer to live in the bunkhouse.
You have more stability in the ranch house, right? So I'm gonna move Boldy to the ranch house. 7x7, 49. Boldy's out of the bunkhouse. He's graduated. Real deal banana peel, $49 million. He might have even bought that place.
God, that was such a layup, and I just missed it. I'm sorry. Coach's best friend award. Going back to Gaudreau, this guy's not a Swiss Army knife. He's a Leatherman. There's more tools. Shootout, a face-off win, defense, offense, timely scoring. I think Dean Evenson has a picture of Freddie Gaudreau on his nightstand. He's the coach's best friend award.
I have a 1B to his best friend award, and that's going to be Connor Dewar. They're both from Manitoba, small towns, population 5,000. I think Dean loves the way Dewar plays because it's similar to the role that Dean played, minus maybe a little toughness, killing penalties. But he's not coming out of the lineup. The Wild are healthy, and Mason Shaw's out right now. He loves Ryan Reeves, but if there's one guy he's not pulling out of that fourth line in the rotation to get these guys ice time, I think it's Connor Dewar, because he might be coach's best friend.
I like it. And then let's do MVP, because this is a little bit of a debate we might have.
We were debating on this one. Go ahead and throw yours out there.
My MVP is Eriksson Ek. He's playing better than last year. I know Karel walks on water when it's frozen, but Ek, man, I just think if you pull him out, he's a load-bearing wall. I think he's absolutely critical to this hockey team, and he's my MVP.
My MVP, and again, you're right, Karel Kaprizov is the layup.
He's an angel.
Gosh, this is a hard one for me because but most valuable player I think is Jared Spurgeon. So I think the way that he's played, and Evenson has talked about throughout the year wanting to coach harder, challenge guys more, and he went after Jared Spurgeon first and early and saying like, hey, last year was good, but it was not good enough. You need to be better. We need more. And Jared Spurgeon has been great this year. Again, we're going to Washington. We're going to have to get to this road trip in a minute, but we're going to watching Jared Spurgeon just eat one-timer after one-timer from Tage Thompson. It's almost like I want to say, like, change the kill. Stop. Don't do it. He's playing so well. Eventually one of these is going to catch this guy, but he's doing it all right now. The moment that we talked about earlier.
You're saying he's going to be lining up, laying down in front of Ovechkin for about 12 times?
I just don't want to see it. God, friend of the show. But he's my MVP.
It's like Lone Survivor.
He is.
He's the only guy on the mountain.
Yeah, he is. But my other MVP, though, would be Wild Construction.
Okay.
So if you experienced a hailstorm last year, and a lot of them swept through the Twin Cities, I didn't know this, but you can end up getting claims and having damage 45 or 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 months later. And you should check out Wild Construction. Have them look at your siding, your roof. It's not too late. Throughout the winter, they can't do your roof, but they can still replace siding and windows. It's a local owned company. Good guys. Check them out. WildConstructionMN.com. No, it's not the Minnesota Wild under construction. It is a legitimate construction company. WildConstructionMN.com.
If you woke up this morning fatigued, angry, volatile, and you just thought it was because of the Vikings game yesterday, you could be not sleeping as well as you should be.
That's right.
You could be not maximizing your sleep. You could have sleep apnea like so many undiagnosed people in the United States. And now there's a local company that's here to help, Gem Health. They will set you up. This is like the Uber of sleep apnea. They will come to your house. You don't have to chase it around. They will take care of you, get you squared away like a concierge. If you think you might have some sleep problems, check out Gem Health. They'll take care of you.
MyGemSleep.com/wild.
Well done.
You know what we're not going to sleep on, though, is how hard this road trip is going to be.
We're on the road for a while.
So it's Washington, Carolina. But the good thing is that, and Dumb's talked on it a little bit, is it's the guest trip. So hopefully that injects some life into the second half of this trip. It's actually amazing how good some of these clubs do on these guest trips.
Why didn't you bring me as a guest?
They booted me. So this is an issue. Lou Nanny just totally flexed on me with this trip. So,
is Lou Nanny on the guest trip?
So I go for Washington, Carolina, and then Lou gives me the tap, and he says, "Go home, Rhino." So
for
then
the Florida game because it's warm.
Florida.
Now is Lou bringing a guest?
I don't know about that.
God, if you ever
flexing on me,
if you get a guest,
I respect that.
If you get a guest next year, will you bring me?
Yeah.
Okay. Cut that out for me.
So, that's it.
Okay. Well, this was a great show. Love having Matt Dumba on here. And as we always like to say, we're here
till it's here.
Peace.